dear friend, poet and thinker, Sri Basil Fernando, my dear versatile artist, Sri Dharmasiri, fellow poets, my dear friends of Sri Lanka. Above all, my salutes to this great country, to its great heritage, and above all, my salutes to the Sinhala language and literature. I feel significance and satisfaction. I am deeply obliged to Sri Basil Fernando and Dharma Siri for inviting me to be here for a reading of some of my poems. My sincere thanks to both of them and to all of you for the creation of this occasion. In such occasions of poetry, the word becomes the center of the world. Everybody is keen to listen to the multitude of the inner meanings of the word and ready to have a journey through the word to the inner polyphony of history. Enjoyment is enlightenment in poetry. We enjoy the essence of our experience and our time as the new poetics of history in every good poem. Human soul is a secret orchestra. We do not know what instruments are being played inside. We only feel the symphony. Sri Lanka today is a lion struggling hard to come up from the trench to which it unknowingly fell. Auditing the accounts of the fall has become its everyday routine today. We can see everywhere today that rethinking, self-criticism and self-renovation. It is a global spiritual exercise today for the self-lifting of local cultures from the demonic grip of globalization. This reminds me of the well-known lines of T.S. Eliot. Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information? And where is the life we have lost in living? Poet and thinker Basil Fernando said 2 days back that Sri Lanka today has great hunger for wisdom and knowledge to reinstate itself in the to be recaptured glory of life and brilliance of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has started to fight out the sleepy mediocrity of its intellectual and creative life. They can regain and renew their wounded and lost spirit in the brave new world of peace and self-confidence. In the great epic of Ramayana, Indian epic of Ramayana, Sri Lanka is described as seeing from the skies as the precious green jewel on the forehead of the deity of prosperity, Sagara Devata, the goddess of the sea. I wish Sri Lanka all success in its great struggle to re-establish the authority of cultural and political dreams by decolonizing the self, decolonizing the neocolonial self. The authority of every human being is to be an unfound self. Our whole social system rests upon the fictitious belief that nobody is forced to do what he does, but he likes to do it. This replacement of freedom by anonymous authority finds its expression in all its areas of life. Force is camouflaged by consent. The consent is brought about by methods of mass suggestion, as it is as it is argued by Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman in their book. Both of them have collectively written a very outstanding book which could very successfully demythify all the imperial mythologies created by the New World Order. And by Erich Fromm in his treatise on the art of loving. Erich Fromm, following Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman, has gone very deep into the psychological and aesthetic puzzles of man in times of our third world pains and anxieties. While we read Erich Fromm, we will feel that here is a man who loves man in its most possible and beautiful way. I write poems not by obeying any force of external authority. For more than 50 years, I am engaged in writing poems. Poetry is my freedom. Poetry makes my word and world bold, beautiful, meaningful, and insightful. In his poem dedicated to his political party, Pablo Neruda said, "You, my party, you blessed me with the warmth and brotherhood of unknown people." I realize it is the same reward that poetry gives to the poet. Insights of justice in the written word is the poem's right to live long. Writing is writing the nation. There is, for centuries, there was a literary authority that self-expression is the duty of the author, with the writer, and spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings is poetry. So many hundreds of definitions we gather from the literature classes and literary aesthetic studies. But actually, all these definitions and descriptions lead us to a particular reality, and a very profound reality, that writing is writing the nation. Writing is writing the nation. Writing the stress, strength, weakness, hope, despair, suppression, sufferings, shameless corruption, hegemony, studies in the technologies of self, and revolt in the making of a nation. Poetry arouses from a deeper sense of justice and a deeper sense of time. Wherever the ethics of history fails to be just and humane, poetry ushers out as a great force of resistance. When a social system starts to perform fascism, no doubt poetry of that social system bring out the resistant force within that system to respond. There is such a subtle sociology of aesthetics, and that is the politics of art. It should, in times of challenges to the freedom of man, human rights, equality, justice, then gradually after the first shock, poetry will gradually emerge as a very great resistance force. It is that we can see everywhere in India, in the world. In the days of Cultural Revolution in China, things were day by day becoming worse and worse. Every chest was ready to receive a bullet. In such a situation, the senior most poet of China then, during the 70s, was I Ching. He boldly questioned the fascist and autocratic methods in the name of egalitarian and socialistic ideologies run by Mao Zedong and his gang of four. Naturally, I Ching was arrested, and he was 89 then, and he was put in home imprisonment. My point is that poetry, without considering the preciousness of your own life, it will emerge as a very human collective force of resistance. Function of poetry in situations of violence and fascism is to function as the aesthetic force of resistance. Undercurrents of resistance is inherent in all cultures. It is the aesthetic justice, the spirit of culture. Aesthetics devoid of ethics is only a timid and tempting sensuousness. This sentence is not mine. This is Aristotle's sentence. Aristotle, in his my book Ethics, analyzes the basic relation of sociological ideas, economic ideas, health-related ideas, and aesthetic, subtle aesthetic feelings, how it can be culminated, converged into a great cultural force. There, Aristotle says this aesthetics devoid of ethics is only a timid and tempting sensuousness. While passing through the gallery of Belur Math, Mahatma Gandhi once happened to see a very beautiful painting of a very beautiful young woman. He was accompanied by the great Indian painter Nandalal Bose. Nandalal Bose was, this is a very fantastic, who is this angel? Nandalal Bose kept silent, and after repeated questions, Bose said, Mahatma, he can be called as an angel, but she is one of the most tragic characters of the Calcutta Red Street. She was a prostitute, died at the age of 27. For a moment, Gandhi could not speak. Gandhi, after some time, Gandhi told Nandalal Bose, there is a simple statement, that is the statement by Leo Tolstoy, and that sentence is this sentence, is that is devoid of ethics, is only a timid and tempting sensuousness. And you see, the journey of this sentence started from the edges of in ancient Greece, circulated among all the European minds, and finally settled in Tolstoy. They did not take a rest. Again, it went on to Gandhi. It is going to generations. Certain sentences have such a beautiful fate, like the migratory birds to roam all around our globe. My conviction is that poetry in every language, in every age, speaks to the micro societies dwell deep within the mind. The revolutionary poet of the Russian futurist movement concluded that a poet should be at the center of things and events to understand the social order correctly. Later, in the 1940s, great German poet Bertolt Brecht said that the poet is not an angel. He should be a man among men. Poet should place his sense in the center of stage of history to hear the silence of the wounds, the screaming mothers, the weeping dead fathers, the awaiting children of the murdered, and the wrath of the rising protest. Mayakovsky gradually lost his glamorous halo in post-revolutionary Soviet Union due to various reasons. But the truth he said about the space and position of a poet in turbulent times remains unfaded. Brave poets resisted the brutally suppressing fascist regimes with utmost courage, dedication, and vision. Many of them, including the great Spanish poet Lorca, had to pay their lives. While reading Lorca, I had a little surprise. in Spanish and Sanskrit, there is one similar word for alma. Alma. Alma is alma in Spanish and in Sanskrit. This is a silly thing, but that surprise is ever fresh in my mind. And he was a very brave man, this poet, Lorca. I don't know whether he has been to translate into singular language or not. Such a wonderful poet. Great Russian poet Lorca had to pay. I was telling that many of them, including the great Spanish poet Lorca, had to pay their lives as the wages of their faith in freedom and fight against fascism. Great Russian poet Anna Akhmatova was blocked by Stalin from writing or publishing poems for 19 years. Akhmatova is from St. Petersburg. You know, through St. Petersburg, it is an old and majestic city. Flows the great river Neva. She was such an admirer of the river Neva and the old city, St. Petersburg. But during the empowerment increased with Stalin, his main advisor, Shadanov, started to take over the cultural administration. He has pointed out certain people with a voice of dissent to be prosecuted or to be imprisoned. And one among them was Akhmatova's son, Lev Gumilev. He was arrested and put in some jails. Akhmatova started his father, great poet Gumilev, had divorced Akhmatova and started a new life in Africa. Akhmatova went out in search of Lev Gumilev, and finally another great poet, Boris Pasternak, told him that I got an information that Lev is put in Krusty jail, Krusty prison. It is on the banks of the river Neva. Akhmatova went there every day, every week, every month. For 9 months, she continuously went there. And one day, another hope came. You can wait in the gate of the prison. There will be a bell, and you will be called to see your son. When Akhmatova went up to the main gate of the prison, there were 3,000 mothers. And they had to stand there, waiting with the hope to see their beloveds for 300 hours. This woman, the great poet, suppressed by fascist iron hands, had to stand there, waiting with the hope that she will have a glance of the face of her son. She had to stay there for 300 hours. And her both legs started swelling. It was a winter season too. You know what Russia's winter is. Such terrible torture from the parts of authorities was the other side of the great socialist dream. I was an ardent believer of the socialist ideology. But wherever it is executed, there are great oceans of tears too, blood too, and death too. Great Russian poet Anna Akhmatova was blocked by Stalin from writing or publishing poems for 19 years. Her livelihood was the membership as allowance from the Soviet Writers Association, and it was blocked. She got some little help, monetary help from Boris Pasternak and Marina Tsveteva, another great poet. Osip Mandelstam, another great Russian poet, died in a Siberian concentration camp. Marina Tsveteva is another great voice of the Russian muse, had to commit suicide after she lost her husband and a daughter in the bitterness of Stalinist political terrorism. This is what I am saying is not anti-communism. This is just a criticism of the practiced Soviet Marxism. We know only very little about the terror, whether it is neo-colonial or local. Terrific is the agony suffered by the great poets and artists and scientists and revolutionaries under various fascist regimes in various countries. Our age is not the dark age. It is the darker age in a period of stunning brilliance of mankind. It was in this backdrop of sufferings and terror that a new generation of poets appeared in various languages with hope and love towards posterity to protect a world of peace and hope for posterity. Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai, Syrian poet Adonis, Baidevo and Aiching, of him I referred to earlier, Aiching from China, Muhammad Darwish and Adonis from the Arab, Pablo Neruda, Cesar Vallejo, Octavio Paz, Nicolas Guillen and Nicanor Parra from the Latin America, Leopold Sedar Senghor, Aimé Césaire and Walt Soyinka from Africa, Paul Celan, Bertolt Brecht, Czeslaw Melos, C.P. Kavafi, Wisława Szymborska from the Europe are among this new galaxy of high power, high voltage poets. They dealt with their subjectivity. They never ignored society. They combined self and society in poetry. I remember an Israeli poem. He is a very good poet, Yehuda Amichai. The poems are comparatively small, 10 to 24 lines, but every poem has an energy pack. Sometimes pus, sometimes a poem, something always burst out, and always pain. My father was a tree in a forest of fathers, covered in green cotton wool. Oh, windows of flesh, orphans of the blood, I must escape. Eyes sharp as tin openers opened heavy secrets, but through the wound on my chest, God peers into the world. I am the door to his apartments. To the apartments of God, I am the door. This is a poem by Yehuda Amichai in the backdrop of the death of major ideological gods. We get here a key image about the position of the poet in a world of turmoil and globalization. Image of the door. Poet is to be a door today, to come and to go, to in and out, to past and to present, a passage to the inner world of emotions and to the outer world of chaos, a passage to reality, to shut before every foe. I conclude my words by reminding an African fairy folk tale of creation. When the God, actually this story once is told by Ben Okri, one of the finest novelists from the European, African area, Chino Achebe being the best. He was casually telling this story But I found that there are very significant insight spread out in this little story. When the gods made the world, the sky was not distant as it is today. It was just above the heads of the people, and it was there for them to reach up to and take what they wanted. Sky could be used to create clothing, for food, for shelter. It was everywhere and within their grasp. But unfortunately, the people became too greedy and were tearing down pieces of sky beyond their need. So the gods decided they would teach a lesson. They raised the sky to its present height, where people can no longer abuse it, and it reminded them of the beauty and plenty they have lost. Now, all our movements today seek to recapture a distant, a vanished era of well-being. Things are far, far away from us. This is our reality. Thank you all. Very Now I am told that I shall read some poems, and later the translation of poems will be read here. Who else is there to come? This is very simple. I think if there is not a translation, even without a translation you can get it. Who else is there to come? This is one man sitting in the veranda of a lodge. He is seeing that so many things. Persons are coming and going. But in the next dimension, he feels that the march past of history, so many great men, ideologies, great expectations are vanished. In such a situation, he finally prays to himself. In such a situation, let poor Buddha do not come. This is the sketch of the poem, but poem is more. A Sunday in summer, the married have all gone home. I wait for no one in particular, alone in the deserted lodge. Who else is there to come? The earthen water jug with a hole lies on its side in a corner in the veranda, with the long neck of a camel. Is there someone else to come, thirsty, perspiring, exhausted? The fortune teller with his parrot was here yesterday. The man from the village looking for the Indian specialist has also left. The prophets and messiahs who sacrificed the man to fate also came and went along the same road. Gone are also the emperors who, with their shady trees and wayside wells, robbed us of our human lives. Hyun Sang and Vasco da Gama and Gandhi, with old time in his watch, have also come and gone. And the fake revolutionaries performing their plenums have come and gone, draining the last drop of the water from the jug. Gone are all the minor characters that I knew would come. But from our trains, Dalhousie waves his green flag still. American wheat grins at our hunger. Who else is there to come? Each one comes with his hunger. Once here, they refuse to leave. They linger on in some shape, as in someone's mind or semblance of face. Yesterday's emperors return as masks, banners, processions, slogans, and people's ministers. As the hand the head leans on, rises as a serpent to bite. Our sleep sinks into babble and sobs. Who else is there to come? The cross hold a symposium on the neem tree in the courtyard. They believe the future is black as themselves. No crow calls out the guest's arrival. No festive cry of the spring is heard. Still, I am all excitement. Someone on this way. But who will stare at this hour of the noon when flowers droop on the lagoon's bank? An intimate friend, my fiancé, who will turn up? Who is on the way? A new steamer at the harbor with solutions to all our problems. A new star in the horizon who will make his appearance at this hour of the noon. Look, a flock of sheep is passing along the Banerjee road. A flock of sheep is passing along the Banerjee road. It is Sunday morning. The mass at the church must be over. The morning cinema must have ended. A flock of sheep limp along the Banerjee road. The street blazes hot in this summer day like a butcher's knife. Let no poor Gautama come this way. What will he do if at all he comes? With the mercy of mere 10 fingers to which of this lame folk will he be a savior too? It is over. Next poem, photos in various poses. And here is two characters, one cameraman and the object of the lens. We need several photos, sir, of people like you in various poses, bending, tilting, standing, walking, smiling, lost in thought, with a palette and brush in the hand, staring, smoking, browsing through a book, embracing your mate and children, and now inseparable bosom foes, close-ups and long-distance shots, photos in various poses, sir. With a newborn child at Konark, or Belur, or beside a funeral pyre, leading a march, shaking hands at a marriage, folding hands before success, waxing at one's favorite task, crushed under the futile task, photos in various poses, sir. Let them see. Those who have never seen us, those who see us all the time, and even we ourselves, all that we sing and dance through the changing seasons, what we create and destroy in our various incarnations. Sir, it is under the gaze of men that seas swelled to this size and rivers became sagas. Vakyam Muhammad Bashir, he is one of the best novelists lived in Kerala. Vakyam Muhammad Bashir complains that snapshots have worn out his face. But one should not forget, sir, through the same trick, the stars of our public men have ascended from the darkness to anonymity, to the kindly light celebrity. More exposure, more radiance, sir. That is what people say, sir, the truth of a life can't be summed up the truth of life can't be summed up in a snapshot, sir. those who have never been splashed by a flash bulb, those who do not even figure in a group photo, multitudes, it is if they were never born, their life a formless, blind void. When I face the camera, I panic. It is its single eye, which is also its tongue, ear, nose, the solar abyss of the cosmic flux, a tunnel of night at its core, the possessed demonic dance of the Grand Inquisitor. When I face the camera, my eyes swear away from the eyes. My lips wither and fall. Ears itch as if they are grafted. A fly sitting on my nose treads down to the underworld. As I stare at one, I splinter into many. Instead of the reverse harmony, I become the rain scatter. Thank you, sir. A few more, sir. As a beacon on the dark shore, with a bunch of spring flowers in Ooty or Kashmir, as Lenin outside and Pundanam, a devotional poet, in the prayer room, as an idol in the pageant, as a blowing horn, or as an elephant's trunk to keep the world fettered in polemics. Photos in various poses, sir. I shall read two little small poems and for favors returned. I renovated tradition. In return, tradition rendered me an antique. That is all. Only 3 lines poem. I renovated tradition. In turn, tradition rendered me an antique. Next poem. The original name is Interview, but here is given another name. What do you like best? Myself, of course. And if you set that aside, but that is never set aside, liking me alone. But that is not a self-portrait. I love you all. Thank you.